Welcome to today's training for Ready to Play, and this is the second training in a series of 4. So in this session we're going to be looking at just 3 songs, and one is actually a repeated song. So it's Once a Duck Fell in a Well, Autumn Leaves, and The Return of Once a Duck. What we're going to be looking at, well, here's a quick recap of the progression of concepts in Book 2. There's nothing new that we're looking at in terms of rhythm, so nothing from that is going to be looked at. Obviously, we looked at syncopation last time. So from the concepts to do with pitch, today is really just going to focus on this major pentachord that is running throughout all 3 songs. And the other concepts we're going to be looking at are the introduction of clefs and landmark notes, and also sharps and flats. Okay, so let's get going with, I'm going to stop that share, and we're going to just get going first of all with the, here we go, back to me, there we go. So we're going to get us going with the very first song, which is my favorite song, actually. Can I say that? No, I probably can't. But it is one of my favorite because it is so useful. And it goes like this. Once a duck fell in a well, splish, splash, splosh he sounded, wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned. Oh, duck and he. Once a Duck, as you can see from the book, is based on Spotty Duck. Here is Spotty Duck. Yeah. So I will often produce Spotty Duck, and as we've just been talking in the sort of the warm-up bit, just having a little prop can really help. So I might just do once a duck fell in a well, splish splash splosh he sounded, wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned. And what you've got in the book is just a very simple clapping game to get some movement to introduce the song to the child. So I think, let me just double check what I've got over here. Yes, so you're going to stamp right, left, tap, tap, clap, clap, right, left, tap, tap, clap, clap. Time to everybody to stand up and give it a go with me, because you need to experience it to do it. So you're going to, with your right leg, left leg, and it says clap with a partner, but obviously for most people at the moment, they're going to just clap their own hands. So it's going to be right, left, tap, 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 right, left. Off I go. Once a duck fell in a well, splish, splash, splosh he sounded, wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned. Keep it going. Off I go. Once a duck fell in a well, splish, splash, splosh he sounded, wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned. Yay! And by the time you've done that 2 or 3 times without stopping with your students, they begin to catch the feel of and the sound of the song. And I'm not asking them to necessarily sing. They probably will be singing by the end of the song. And I would probably teach them the song at that point, and it would happen really quickly. So I might go, my turn and your turn, just like we've done before. Off I go. Once a duck fell in a well. Your turn. Once a duck fell in a well, splish splash splosh he sounded, splish splash splosh he sounded, wished he had not fallen in, wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned, very nearly drowned. Okay, so that in essence is the song. I'm sure some of you will recognize it, will know it from old. It's actually a German folk song, this is. The words as they translated into English should be, once a man fell in a well. So the original words I learnt were, once a man fell in a Splish, splash, splosh, he sounded. Wished he had not fallen in, very nearly drowned. Those words are now so ingrained I can't remember the original words, because in the original words he goes and drowns. And of course, you know, some children would go, oh, horror. Anyhow, it just turned out in a lesson a couple of years ago, the ducks were around, so I changed it to duck, and I thought this works really well. Actually, it makes it a lot more fun and engaging for the child. But as I say, the original words are to do with a man, and he does actually drown. So what we have in this song is the introduction of a new singing name. And I might say to the child, I'm going to sing this to you, and I'd like you to see if you can spot a new singing name that I'm going to use. Have a listen. Off I go, do, re, mi, fa, so, 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 do, re, mi, fa, so, so, do, re, mi, fa, so, 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 fa, mi, re, do, do. And I think they would probably, you know, if you've taken them through everything we've been doing before, they would spot that. Fa, fa, mi. In the first lesson, that's all I would do. I wouldn't go any further than that. Do sit down if you'd like to. I wouldn't go any further than that. I would just do that in the first lesson. I would introduce the song, and I'd kind of point out quite casually what that new concept is, that it's a fa. When you come back in week 2, therefore, I would pick it up and I would say, duck is trying to escape on a Saturday morning. I would say, do you remember we did a song about a duck? And it's interesting asking that, do you remember? Because some of them will go, oh yes, this is how it went. Do, you know, once a duck fell in the way. And others will kind of look at you blankly because there's been rather a lot that's happened to them during the week. And you've just got to read, haven't you, the body signs. You're all experienced teachers. Read the body signs to see what they're saying. And you say, should we sing it together? Do you remember? I'll sing it first again, and then you can join in. You might even remember some actions that we did. So all the time you're asking them these questions, inviting them in, making it as easy as possible for them to A, show you what they know, and also show you what they don't know. And so you remind them what it is. And we could also do, in this particular song, some of the same actions we've just done with Frère Jacques, but of course they haven't done that. So you could do, once a man fell in the well. So I'm doing stamp, knees, clap, click, head. So do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Body so far really, really, really helpful. Whether you're in a face-to-face or whether you're online, but with online lessons it's great because it's a lovely big physical movement that gets them out of their piano stool and gets them really moving around. And actually it's very easy for you to see what their understanding is without hearing. Yeah. So it would be, I'll just say that again, we won't practice it today because I know time is always short here, but it would be stamp, knees, clap, click. And I'll just do the whole song to you. Off I go. Sorry. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, I've forgotten what I'm doing. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. That's it. I was thinking, oh, what am I doing next? You can't think ahead. Anybody else have that problem sometimes? Okay. So you really establish those actions with them. This is a song you can stick with for quite a few weeks. Yeah. But just come to it for a few minutes at a time. You're not going to do the whole song and all 6 pages that are in the book in one lesson. No, at least 3, if not 4, depends on the child and their level of understanding of what's going on. So what this song uses is what we call the pentachord. Penta meaning 5, chord meaning string of notes, And we want to get them really secure with singing the singing names, obviously, and it introduces, I've already said, that fa. do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Now, you and I both know that as soon as we get that mi, fa, we have a semitone, we have a half step. And that makes it harder to sing and stay in tune. And that is why this is not introduced till this point. Okay. And we'll probably come back to this a little bit, but up till now, we have really just focused on the pentatonic scale. I'm just going to go back to my slides again, just to share with you this idea of pentatonic, because now we have this pentachord. So with the pentatonic, which was, let's sing it together, do, do, re, mi, sol, la, sol, mi, re, do, has 5 notes. It has no semitones, half steps, and it is complete in itself. It is complete in its own character. It is not the major scale with things missing. Okay, think of it as being complete in its own character, and this is why it's a really ancient scale, more probably older than our diatonic scale. So the pentatonic, and then we are today introducing the pentachord, 5 chord, meaning, think of chord, string, yeah, a string of any 5 notes. And what we're doing today is the do pentachord. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. But actually you can start a pentachord on any note, and we will be in the next session start doing the la pentachord, which will give you the minor version. Do, la, la, ti, do, re, mi, re, do, ti, la. A string of 5 notes. Okay, so you work with the child to get there. Let me just see which we're going to do next. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to come off again. You're working with the child to really help them to establish that sense of, one moment, I seem to have lost, oh no, I need to stop share, don't I? There we go. That sense of this new pentachord, because as I say, it is harder to sing. So my old friend Lulu will come out again, and we'll do some more Lulu work. Ongoing Lulu will be for, oh, her hair's a bit of a mess today, isn't it? Yeah. Did you not get up extra early to make yourself look pretty for everybody? I don't know. There we go. That's looking a bit better. Okay. So let's just try. You ready, Lulu? What I'll do is I'll sing, okay, and I'd like you to sing back, and everybody else can sing with Lulu. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me. Yeah. I'm going to start on this note. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol. Your turn. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol. Lovely. Do, re, mi, sol, sol. Your turn. Do, re, mi, sol, sol. So, fa, mi, fa, sol, sol. Would you like to hear that one again? Yeah, okay. So, fa, mi, fa, sol, sol. So, fa, mi, fa, sol, sol. So, mi, do, do. So, mi, do, do. Good singing there, Lulu. Now this time, how about if I just sing to Na and you sing the singing names? Okay. And of course, you, the pupil, are going to sing with Lulu. So she's always going to be there helping. Off we go. Na, 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 na. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, sol. Na, 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 na. So, fa, mi, fa, sol, sol. And And so we can continue. I know I did this a bit last time, but for anybody who wasn't here, we can continue to play these backwards and forwards things. And I think both in lessons, Lulu is going to prove absolutely invaluable in this respect, but certainly online, where she can sing with the pupil to give them some confidence. And then what we could do is we could ask Lulu to do the na, and you sing back with the singing names, and then I'll sing back with the singing names. So this way, the student now has to show that they can hear it. So again, so Lulu, you ready with your nas? Starting on do, off you go. Na, 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 na. Your turn? My turn? Do, re, mi, fa, so. Did we get it right, Lulu? Yay! So everything becomes fun, a game, enjoyable, without having stress put on it. So that would be something that would be ongoing, these little games. This is why I say this is one to keep returning to, which we do, of course. Okay, so let's move on. So that was on page sort of 14 and 15. And I would say that I think I did last time that, of course, I will work quite orally with a student, and certainly in online lessons, I'll ask the parents to go over the books with them and sit down in the week and just read through, because I don't particularly want to do that online. It doesn't quite work, that doesn't, unless I've pulled something out onto a screen and then we'll look at it together. In a face-to-face lesson, it's a different scenario, and I think you probably can do that in a face-to-face lesson. But always focus on the oral first. Always focus on the oral first. So when we move on to the next thing, we're now focusing on this idea of whole steps and half steps. Whole steps and half steps. That's what I've called them in here. I know we call them tones and semitones as well. As you can tell, I'm interchangeable. To me, whole steps and half steps works for children because it makes it very clear what it is. Very clear what it is. I will also call them tones and semitones, and my students are very used to using both terms. And I will, point out that the do, re, mi, fa, sol. Fa is such a special new pitch because it changes how it feels. And this is because it now has whole steps and half steps. Have a little listen. And this is what you've got at the bottom of that page 15. It goes like this. Do, re, whole step, re, mi, whole step, mi, fa, half step, fa, sol, whole step. And that's just an introduction to it because we come back to it, I think, in song 7. Song 7 is the step song. It is developing that. So all you're doing here is introducing them to it. So what you could do to engage the child as you do that, because you're not going to necessarily ask them at that moment to copy you, is you could get them to stand up or sit down when they hear the half steps. So you're all sitting down. When you hear me sing the half step, I'd like you to stand up. I'm going to change my pitch. Changing pitch quite a lot as well today, trying to keep it moving around. Off I go, do, re, whole step, re, mi, whole step, mi, fa, half step, fa, sol, whole step, so, fa, whole step, fa, mi, half step, mi, re, whole step, re, do, whole step. Yeah. And again, that's just a little way of bringing that learning to life for them. Okay. I think the other thing to do is to help them to recognize the difference between whole steps and half steps by making it a visual sense. And I'm just going to show you, I'm going to give you my other camera shots. And it's also, let me just go here. There we go. Is this going to work? Yay, just about. I was saying to Nina that unfortunately these webcams, they sometimes lose the definition a little bit, but hopefully you can see the ducks on here that I've cut out, and that one, as you can see, is a little sow duck. Yay! So we've got them laid out here. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. And they're vaguely, yeah, Fa and Mi are trying to be a bit closer together. Look, do, re, mi, fa, sol, and then we might go backwards. So, fa, mi, re, do. Little visual senses like that can be enormously helpful in helping them to really get that. We're going to come back to that on the keyboard later. I've also got my ducks up here. Let me just come back onto the other camera. I'm just really throwing a few different ideas here at you. So there we go. So here are my ducks. There we go. So there's Spotty Duck. He could be Do. You can just about see them, can't you? Do. Beethoven is Re. Mi. Here we go. Fa. Super Sally Duck is living very close to Pirate Duck. Yay! So, and what I might do with a child is ask them for the next week, have they got 5 toys? I've got one little girl that actually is on book 1, and she loves the Sylvania family. And, you know, she would happily produce 5 of those for the next week, and she could organize those on her piano in a similar way so that we can see do, re, whole step, re, mi, whole step, mi, fa, half step, fa, sol, whole step, like that. Okay, so the other thing to keep emphasizing at this moment in time, oh, I'm going to run out of time, aren't I, is the relative stave. And we talked quite a lot last week or last time about the relative stave. And I'm just going to share again with you all. Let's just find me. There we go. Because the relative stave is the stave when there is no clef at the beginning. And here it is on page 16 of Once a Duck, where you have got it written out on the relative stave. And I might say things like, is the first note in a line or in a space? Okay, and going to keep kind of coming back to this idea of where the lines and spaces are. As I would say later on, actually, I'm expecting by now that the children will be in their piano tutor books. They will be reading from the stave anyhow. But I know through experience they need lots and lots and lots of repetition and practice and revision of this. So there is absolutely no harm in doing this at all. And then what we're wanting them to do here is to identify the half steps as it's written out on the stave. So we might say, how many half steps are there in Once a Duck? And for this, they have to look at the solfa. You know, when we look at the stave like that, we can see that actually the notes all look exactly the same, don't they? There's no difference between them. You and I know that if we put a bass clef there, that would give us C. But the children, we're not assuming that at all. So we're just asking them to circle, to look for the half steps, the mi, fa, and put a circle around it, you know. So here we go, like that. And here's the next one, and here's the next one, and here's the next one. And if they have got their books there, which they should have, I would ask them to do that in their books and then just show it to me via the camera. Okay. So what we're doing here is we're really emphasizing the fact that it is the mi to fa that is the half step, and the rest of it, what we're wanting them to do is the patterns. We're wanting them to understand the patterns and following the shapes and the patterns. We might have sung it. I'm just going to stop my share again, I think. Just double check. Yeah, okay. So the other thing that we have got then underneath that is about the half steps and how they move on the keyboard. And you can see, again, this is something I think for them to do at home. So I'm just going to stop that share and come back to my other camera because I'm going to just quickly show you how I might do that online. and I'm just have to have a quick change of equipment. So I'm just going to move my ducks over here somewhere, and in its place comes this. Now I have to admit, well, this is for those of you that don't know, this is from Simpsons Black Rock Music, and this is called a Manumat. And this particular one, this particular one comes with lots of little counters like this that have the letter names on them. So what I've done is I've put a different color thing on the back, and I have put the singing names in there. So I can put them on here. I've lost my C, there it is. I'm going to do it on C for the moment. Do, just doing it as they come. So far, there we go. There we go. Do, re, whole step, re, mi, whole step, mi, fa, half step, fa, so, whole step. Now I have to say that when I've been doing this since the lockdown, what I've done is I've made some videos. So I've taken it out of the lesson, and I've just made two short 5-minute videos for my students to watch in their own time, and then they come back and they tell me what they've learned. And I have found that to be highly effective, I have to say. So I then got, what I might do is do, re, there's a whole step, and re, mi is a whole step, and fa, so is a whole step, and then mi, fa, that's a half step. And I want to point out to them that a whole step is 1, 2, 3. 3 keys, 1, 2, 3. Whereas a half step is 1, 2. So let's just get rid of those for a moment. We might then go on and say, let's make a half step between a black note and a white note. There we go. 1, 2. Let's make a half step between 2 white notes again. There we go. 1, 2. What about a half step from a black note to a white note? Yeah, I can do that there as well. Can we make a half step though between 2 black notes? 1, 2, 3. We can't. And this, doing it on a video that you've thought through a little bit and just record, you can, if they then subsequently several weeks down the line have forgotten, then you can just send them to the video rather than actually have to explain it all again. And again, with whole steps, we want them to be counting 1, 2, 3, or for example, we can do it over here, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So lollipop sticks are the other way that you could actually deliver that if you didn't have pipe cleaners. And we were talking about hobbycraft earlier, and that's where those pipe cleaners came from, was hobbycraft. Okie dokie. So a little bit there about whole steps and half steps, a little bit about the relative stave, and still using the relative stave, still going on to page 17, where we're asking them now to start to write out Once a Duck using the relative stave. Once a Duck is the most playable and pianistically close piece that actually we've had so far. Rain is Falling Down, Mary Had a Little Lamb, that works as well because obviously that's just got the 3 notes. But this one obviously has got 5 notes, we've got 5 fingers, and it fits into that 5-note pentachord pattern that so many early pieces have. And you might say, well, Sally, why have you left it so late to introduce this? And that's because you've got to remember that this is musicianship first, pianist second. So this is not following the skill of progression for a pianist, it's following the skill of progression for musical development that we know children will follow. And we know that children, and adults for that matter, struggle to go do, re, mi, fa, so, really in tune. And we all do ourselves. Yeah, you too will have to watch out for your tuning when you sing that half step, because those are the points. Choirs go flat. That's where it happens. Yeah, just that's the way it is. It's harder to sing. So just remember that this is following musicianship first rather than pianistic. Okay, So on page, I'm not going to go into these, I was going to, but I'm going to run out of time. Page 18 is, here are some songs. Can they work out what they are? There are some clues there, but what you're asking them to do really is sing it through with the singing names. Sing it through with the singing names. If they need to write the singing names in underneath, that's absolutely fine. That's not a problem. In fact, I expect they will need to write the singing names in. Okay, good. So let's move on. Oh, I tell you what, no, before we go, let's do it. No, we won't. We'll come back to that. Sorry. Let's move on now to autumn leaves. Autumn leaves falling down. Autumn leaves drifting to the ground. I'm just going to play this to you. And this is what I might actually do with my students as well. This is actually a composed song. It's the only composed song. There is a composed piano piece, but this is the only composed song. Composed by me, actually. Off I go, autumn leaves falling down. Autumn leaves drifting to the ground. Two things. You might have noticed a change of harmony. So in bar 2, falling down. I prefer that to go to the F chord there for the beats 3 and 4, if you want to change that. And in the last bar, the very last chord, oh, I suppose it could be, yeah, forget about the last chord, it's actually absolutely fine. I was thinking it should be C, D, G, but actually I quite like that, what I've written there. It's very floaty. I quite like the accompaniment. In fact, the accompaniment kind of almost came before the song itself. And it's one that you can really ask the children to see if they can talk about the mood of the song. How does it feel? How does it make you feel? What does autumn do? You know, what colors do you see in autumn? Get them to use some lovely descriptive, imaginative words. And I think the beautiful illustrations on the page of the trees, of the leaves and things really help to bring to this to life with the color and stuff like that. So when we start to do this, I might then ask them to see if they could spot how many times can they hear the pitch pattern of so, me. Now, I might need to warm them up a little bit with Lulu, so I might do some pitch pattern work. I would do some pitch pattern work. So Lulu's going to sing and you sing back to Lulu. Off we go, so, me. And they would sing, so, me. So, fa, mi, re, do. So, fa, mi, re, do. So, mi, do. And they would sing that back. So I'm taking the 3 patterns of the song, and that's what I'm warming up with. Okay, so I'm setting them up for success, the children. And then I would say, here's the song again. I wonder how many times you hear so, me. And I might do the hand signs to go with it as well. Off I go, autumn leaves falling down. Autumn leaves drifting to the ground. And hopefully they would have counted that they hear the pitch pattern. Show me on your fingers, how many times did you hear that pitch pattern? So, me. It was 4. You're thinking, no, you didn't ask us that, Sally, beforehand. We weren't counting ourselves. We were listening to you sing so beautifully. Or not, as the case may be. Okay, so that's one way that you can introduce the piece, because you can then see on page 20, you want them to see if they can fill in the singing names for the song. And the hard bit's done, to be honest, because I've done the so, fa, mi, re, do, and I've put the first one in. And if they've already counted the so, so, mi, then actually there's only one other little 3-note bar that they need to do, which is the so, mi, do. And if you've sort of gone through that with them, it makes it an awful lot easier with Lulu or something similar. Um, Then what we're going to see, and this will happen with Once a Duck as well, but I did miss it out, is we're going to see if we can sing it now in fixed pitch letter names. So for this one, we are going to do it with C, do, and I might say, and I have got, can you see them here? I've nearly always got something around and about that is helping. I think you can see it, just a bit hazy, but it nevertheless is there. So we're going to use do, re, mi, fa, sol. So I'm not going to use those two. C, D, E, F, G. So we're going to put in C with do, re, mi, fa, sol. And I get them to write in their books underneath the so far that's written there to help. And then I would sing it to them, letters, phrases at a time. Have a listen. Off I go, G, G, E, G, G, E. Your turn. G, G, E, G, G, E, G, E, C. Yeah. So, etc., etc. We would sing through the whole song using those letter names, and then we'd probably, let's see, can you sing the whole song through with the letter names? Off you go, G, G, E, G, G, E, G, E, C. G, G, E, G, G, E, G, F, E, D, C. It becomes really hard to stay in tune with yourself when you're singing and playing. And at that point, they are ready to play. They are ready to play. And they will go to the piano and they will play that really quite easily. And the look of satisfaction on their face when they realize they've played it. Wow. I mean, there's one other step you could do, which is to do finger numbers. You could sing the finger numbers depending on which hand you're going to play it with. Let's say you're going to do it with the right hand. You could sing the 5, 5, 3, depending on your judgment about that child and their level of understanding of what you're going to do. Okay, so up till now, we've been using the relative stave, the relative stave. And as I was saying earlier, you know, the children need to have a lot of practice in what they are, how they are using the relative stave. Let's see if I haven't practiced this at all, so let's just give this a little go. Now, usually I would have a whiteboard, but I haven't got a whiteboard, but instead I've got a small mini whiteboard that has enough room for 4 lines. So apologies for that. And they do have to be that big because what I've got here is a flying note. Ha, ha, ha. This is the excitement of the flying note. It's great fun taking this to London on the train, I have to say. So my husband made me this flying note, and the beauty of the flying note, it can move around. So we could say, where is the flying note? The flying note is on a line, and this is do. So I'm just going to see if I can pattern a song for you, or pattern a short melody, and I want you to sing it back to me. Have a listen. Off we go. Do, re, mi. Your turn. Have a listen. Mi, re, mi, your turn. Mi, re, do, your turn. Do, do, do. Oh, really good. Now have a listen. See if you can do this one. Off I go. your turn. Re, mi. Now, the idea of doing this one, of course, is that they continue to use their thinking voice. And I wonder whether you were able to hear that in your head as I was moving that around, because that's the idea. But then, of course, we could move do. We could say, okay, where's do now? Do is in the space, so we're going to go do, re, do. So a flying note, my original flying note was one of the, well, yeah, you could even use a ruler. You know, you could even use a ruler with something at the end of it, or one of those wands, stars sort of thing. But because a flying note is really useful for getting them to the idea that the pitch can move around here. Let me just put the flying note down. Because as we go on to autumn leaves, we are once more revising the relative stave, and we are moving on to now fixed pitch. I'm just going to share this with you again. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to move over that. There's the so mi. Yep, we've talked about that. So here we now go on to the relative stave. So with the relative stave, just a reminder that the notes are not attached to a particular set of fixed letter names, and indeed we need to encourage pattern reading. So do, let's try singing that first one. This one here, sorry, wrong one. Let's try singing this one here. Here's do, off you go. Do, re, mi, fa. Of course, that's a really easy one. Let's try this one here. Here's do. Think it through in your head. Is it a step or a skip? Off. And I might say, could you show me, actually, could you all do this? Could you show me the hand signs, but not the singing? Instead, sing in your head. Off you go. Yay, I see lots of people. Then you get them to sing it out loud. Off you go. Do, mi, so, mi. Lovely. Okay, so that's just one way that you can continue to work at this idea of relative pitch. Because now, as it says on the next page, and I'm looking at page 22, it says now you're getting confident at reading the patterns. Now we're going to fix the pitch on the stave so that they match the fixed pitch on the piano. And to do that, we need to add a clef. I have to say, I was so happy when I got to this page and came up with the idea. Actually, I'm going to introduce 4 clefs. I'm going to show them that there are 4 clefs that we currently use. And of course, we know, the C clef actually is a very adaptable clef, and there's even more clefs that we could go and explore, but we're not going to. Because they always get a bit surprised, don't they, that, oh, it's not treble clef or it's not bass clef, but there is a C clef, and that works in the alto, and that works in the tenor. And that the pianists read from 2 of these clefs, the G clef and the F clef, and they're bracketed together to make the grand stave. And of course, the word clef in French, clé, means key, so it unlocks the pitches of the notes. And that's exactly what I've then gone on and said on page 23. Each clef unlocks a different set of fixed pitch notes. Each clef, I sometimes have to come back to my words and just, as I said last time, the words are being very carefully thought about. And it's good to go back to them in a lesson and read them through, because we can sometimes make things up. We're improvising all the time in lessons, and we don't always find the right words. I certainly don't anyhow. So each clef unlocks a different set of fixed pitch notes, and the secrets are to learn the landmark notes. Now, again, you might be saying it's a bit late in the day, Sally, to be introducing landmark notes. This is just a reminder. It is nothing more than that. I'm quite expecting them already to know about landmark notes. For those that don't, then it's a really useful tool, I think, if they haven't learnt in that way. But to have those landmark notes and to recognise that they link directly to the clefs. Can I just point out that halfway through page 23, it says just under the G treble clef, it says write the landmark note name for each clef in the boxes on the previous page, and that is referring to this page that you can see in front of me. And the idea is that they will go back and with your help, they'll write G here, slightly neater, they'll write F here, they'll write C here, and they'll write C here. Okay, so those are beginning to be the landmark notes that we know. And then at the bottom of that page, we have autumn leaves written out now in the G clef, in the treble clef, starts on landmark note treble G, which of course is so in the song, and it ends on another important landmark note, I've said middle C. And then just before I do leave autumn leaves and move us on the next page, the last page of this song, you've then got some patterns, some pitch patterns to match up. So one thing you might want to do is to get the child to match them up on their book again and show you. And so various ways you can go around this. You could sing one of them. You could say, which one goes so, mi, fa, so, and they spot the one that it is. Oh, Sally, they say it's this one here. Oh yeah, absolutely. So which is the pitch pattern, do you think, that matches that up? And actually it happens to be the one that's just here as well. They say, oh, it's that one. Okay, now what are the letter names that you're going to use for that? So, mi, fa, so, and that might or might not take a bit more doing. Let's see, it would depend on how good their pitch recognition is, their fixed pitch. Just a little fun thing to throw in there. Okay, I'm just going to come off the screen and stop my share because we're going to go on with the return of Once a Duck. And this time, let's go straight in, and I would like you all to sing for me Once a Duck, and I'm going to play the accompaniment because I didn't get around to playing the accompaniment for Once a Duck. But I love the accompaniment for Once a Duck. Very chirpy. Oh, I need to give you an off we go. Are you ready? Off we go. Once a duck fell in a well. Splish, splash, splosh he sounded. Wished he had not fallen in. Very nearly drowned. This time, can you sing it in solfa with hand signs as well? Off you go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. There we go. So things you can do on the return of Once a Duck. The kids will love playing it. Of course, you know, you can hopefully get them playing it hands together even. And one way you can do that is to actually get and sing it in canon. I was doing this with Nina beforehand. I was just trying it out. So let's sing it in canon together. I'm going to start and I'm going to bring you lot in. We'll sing it in solfa then. My turn. Got to remember to bring you lot in. All right. Off I go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. Okay. So now let's try it. That was after 2 beats. That was after 2 beats. Of course, you could no do re no mi fa. Yeah, that was after 2 beats. Of course, let's try it maybe after 1 beat. Yeah. So I'm going to go do re, and you come in after that. Yeah, see what that sounds like. Could also do it after 4 beats. Let's do 4 beats first. My turn first. I've forgotten what did I do. Nina, did I bring you in after 2 beats or 4 beats then? After 4 beats. Okay, let's, yeah. Do, re, mi, fa, so. I brought you in there, didn't I? Yeah, okay. All right. We are doing it in quavers, so that is actually after 2 beats. Right, good, good, good. Sorted it out now. Let's try it. Do, re, mi, after 1 beat this time. Ready? So I'm going to go do, re, and you will start. Off I go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. So now I'd like you to try it in canon with yourself. I'd like you to tap the rhythm in canon with you singing. Tap the rhythm in canon with you singing. We'll do it after 2 beats. So you're going to sing do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Off we go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. Quite hard, isn't it? And you can see Nina going, oh, it's doing my head in. That's the fun of it. That's the absolute fun of it. It is hard, it is challenging, and your brain is having to go, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. So it immediately engages you, and you think, I'm going to try this again. I'm sure I can get this if I just do a bit of practice on it, which you can, and of course your students can as well. So that would be a canon like that, just tapping it with yourself. The point of the tapping, though, is that you need to hear it as well. So let's try. I'm going to try it now in canon with myself, but with hand signs. All right. So you kind of have to switch the brain here. So I'm going to really concentrate on this, hearing that in my head whilst I sing. And this, of course, is harmony. I need to hear it in harmony with myself. And that's really, really important for us to develop that oral sense. I can see some people going, are you sure, Sally? But this is what makes sensitive musicians. Sensitive musicians can handle the musical material up here rather than having to always produce it through this. That's the difference. So let's give it a go. Okay. Off I go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. Yeah. And it was going, well, you couldn't tell because you didn't know whether it was going in my head or not, but it was, I can assure you. Yeah. And then, of course, what you can do, and if you ever go to a British Kadai Academy summer school or any Kadai summer school, you will hear practice rooms full of people practicing canons with themselves. And it's hysterical because it is just so energizing. So I'm going to try, change key, all right. I'm now going to try and play it in canon with myself. And this is what I did manage to do, didn't I, Nina, before we started? So, okay, off I go. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. So, fa, mi, re, do, do. Variable tuning, I must admit, or even after 1 beat. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so, so. Do, re, mi, fa, so, so. No, I've lost myself. But you had to go wrong at some point, didn't I? You can have so much fun. And I would really say that this song has got so many things that you can do with it. It works brilliantly with adults. You don't need the words, you just use the solfa. They don't need to have any solfa experience. You teach it for the solfa, if you like, and then they can play around with doing things like this, playing it in canon with themselves. And of course, you can do it in the hands, can't you? Sorry. Yeah. And for your more advanced pupil, for your quick child, that is just a complete gift. You know, that challenge level that gives them. And it is only the ones who are really well coordinated who will manage to do that. I can assure you. Okay, so that's just giving you some ideas for doing this in canon when you get back to this Once a Duck, the return of Once a Duck, because as you can see in this particular return, it's about introducing the sharps and the flats. It's about transposing it, starting on different notes, and really reinforcing the fact that you can start this song on any single note on the piano, as long as you maintain the do, re, mi, fa, so, whole step, do, yeah, and you might want to go back to the whole steps and half steps and make sure that they've got them. So, as I say, you can play around with this in many, many different ways. And again, I would really come back to this idea that singing, the singing of the letter names is really quite vital here. Now you might say, well, how do I do the sharps and flats, Sally? I just would sing, let's do it on D, D, E, F sharp, G, hey, hey, hey. In sort of Kodai terms, what we tend to do is the sharp, because it's pushing up, we give that an is sound, is, is. And the flat, because it's a lowering, is an S, which is a darker sound. So it would be D, E, Fis, G, hey, hey, hey. But to be honest, I don't do that unless I'm going very, very fast, because I find it doesn't mean enough to me. F sharp for me is more meaningful, and I don't mind that I have to change the rhythm slightly. I can live with that. It's a compromise, but I can live with it. And I think for our children in particular, you don't want to start going down the is and the s and the bess and the yeah. Okay, so that is that is the return of Once a Duck. Really, it's just continuing to reinforce the work. Just going to oh, I've lost my PowerPoint here. Just going to continue to reinforce the work that you've already been doing on playing, on singing, on having fun, on okay, that's not going to work like that. Here we go. Right. Yep. Sharp sign. It again, it might be revision at this point, or it might not be. Who knows? And then there we go. That's bringing me to the end, really, and saying the next training is on February the 27th.